I kind of just went into my relationship like I'm here to serve and I'm doing what God wants me to do. And I wasn't so much focusing on myself and what's best for me, which is where the problems arise. That attitude I had was I should just try harder. I could be nicer to him. I could do all this and this thing so that he is less angry at me. And that was kind of like the direction that I was taking, and praying to God and praying that he would help me in my situation. And I didn't realize I needed to help myself, that I just needed to walk out that door.
So,
'Cause,
you were on your fifth year in college. How did you guys meet?
um, well, I transferred over from schools. So I think I met him in my third year. I did 2 years in the other college. So I met him in my third year after I transferred. And it was just one of those things of being in the cafeteria and he walked up to me. And this is one thing that I really, really like to emphasize when I'm talking to people about relationships. I was just so happy that he chose me. Like, oh, I was out of everybody in the cafeteria, he chose me. So I was so happy about being chosen. And I always tell people, don't be chosen, be choosy.
Phenomenous. Colding.
Hello, guys. Hello. Welcome back to Life's Deceit with me, your girl, Jen Simpson. How are you guys doing? How is your morning, your afternoon, your night, your week, your weekend, wherever you are in the world, whatever time zone? What up? How are you guys doing? Welcome back, and thank you for tuning in with me again. Thank you to my subscribers. Thank you to my new subscribers. I'm absolutely honored to have you guys here with me today. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Today, guys, we have a very, 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 very special guest that I cannot wait to share with you. Her name is Yvette Oloo. She is not just a coach, she is a survivor, a thriver, a powerhouse. Um, on her journey, living in her purpose, on assignment. Decolonization is what we'll be talking about today. Decolonizing internally, spaces, space coaching. She's going to teach you how to create healthy spaces, environments, peace, um, creating yourself, getting to know who you are, undoing all the things that we've done, undoing all the things that people have taught us that we know we need to declutter, decolonize, and allow ourselves to become who we're supposed to be. So, guys, please welcome Yvette Oloo with me. I'm so excited. Get hyped up with me. Hyper up, hyper up, hyper up, hyper up. Thank you so much for agreeing to be my guest. I am honored to be in your presence. I cannot wait to dive into this conversation with you and just allow God to lead it wherever it goes.
Yes.
So, I see that you are a transformation coach.
Yes.
I also see that that's not where you exactly started. You started
Yes.
out as a certified abuse coach.
Yes.
That, when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, okay. At first, when I reached out, I was like, okay, I'm on the right path. When I saw that, I was like, this is what I really wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
And it's a very cringy topic for a lot of people right now, especially what's going on in social media all over
Mm,
the world. You see people coming out, and people are still afraid. Even
I
after
agree.
coming out, people are still kind of like, oh my gosh, maybe I shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what's your background, what do
Mm.
you represent?
All right. I'm going to start all the way from the beginning because I'm Kenyan. I was born and raised in Kenya, and I came here to study architecture. Um, so that's what I did, and then I met my children's father in college, and I did architecture school, right? It's a 5-year program. So on my last year, that's when I had my kids. So I kind of decided to stay in the country because of my kids. So kind of like when that whole path started.
Yeah.
And it's I realized a lot of things in hindsight. Like looking back, like from the day we first met, there was like already red flags about him. And but I stayed in that relationship for a while. And then when I left that relationship, it was just like everything was clear to me about all the things I have in my life, all the things I'm doing, and my work and all that stuff. So I kind of left that and came into life coaching. And I wanted people to learn the things that I had learned. So I did certified abuse recovery coach and helped people through that. And and then at some point I was just like, I'm an architect. I want to design stuff. And I was like, but I'm a life coach.
Yeah.
I want to help people. So I decided I can do both. Why do I have to choose? So I became a space transformation coach. So I'm helping now people with like the environment and the um the psychological stuff because it all ties in together. Um the environment affects you and you can affect your environment too, and just bringing those two things together is I think more impactful than anything else. Like you can do just the one, you can do just the design, you can do just the transformation, but when you bring those two together, it's like this magic. So that's kind of what I decided to do.
So you were born in Kenya. Were you born with in a two-parent home?
Yes, I was in a two-parent home, and my family was good. I grew up in a good family relationship, but here's the thing that I did not realize, and a lot of people might not realize this too. So I grew up in a very religious family,
Hmm.
and because I was in a very religious family, yourself is last. It's about do what God wants you to do, and always doing for others and helping others and serving others. So I kind of had that mentality. And so, I kind of just went into my relationship like I'm here to serve and I'm doing what God wants me to do. And I wasn't so much focusing on myself and what's best for me, which is where the problems arise.
You said something. And you know what? As a Christian, sometimes whatever faith anybody believes in or religion, we forget sometimes about ourselves because we're raised on serving other people, doing the right thing, putting ourselves in other people's shoes to try to understand what they're going through and just being a godly person.
Mm, mm.
And I think
So,
that's one of the biggest things that we battle with is learning to put ourselves first and understanding that it's okay to put our
yes,
needs and wants first and not always somebody else.
yes. And that attitude I had was I should just try harder. I could be nicer to him. I could do all this and this thing so that he is less angry at me. And that was kind of like the direction that I was taking and praying to God and praying that he would help me in my situation. And I didn't realize I needed to help myself, that I just needed to walk out that door because he was never going to change.
Oh, you said something else that just gave me chills is that we pray and ask God to help our situation, fix our situation, fix the person that we're with, instead of asking God to do what's best for us and remove us from that situation if it's not for us or what he wants for us. Because a
Mm,
lot of times when kids are involved, we think, okay, well, I had the kids. This is it. Then it's marriage, or if marriage already happened, we're supposed to fight and make it work out and ask God to deliver the relationship, deliver that person. When really, though, our prayer could just be, God, I'm asking you to do what's best for me and what's best for that person. If it's separating us, please do that
mm,
and do it in the most gentlest way that it doesn't destroy me.
yes.
So you were on your fifth year in college. How did you guys meet?
Um, well, I transferred over from schools. So I think I met him in my third year. I did 2 years in the other college. So I
Mhm.
met him in my third year after I transferred. And it was just one of those things of being in the cafeteria and he walked up to me. And this is one thing that I really, really like to emphasize when I'm talking to people about relationships. I was just so happy that he chose me. Like, oh, I was out of everybody in the cafeteria, he chose me. So I was so happy about being chosen. And I always tell people, don't be chosen, be choosy.
Yeah.
Pick the person that you want to be with. Don't just be in the relationship because he chose me, you know? So yeah, he came up to me and he spoke to me. So I was so happy that he like, you know, paid all this attention to me.
Now, you said something else. You said that you saw all the red flags. You felt them. What were some of those red flags that you saw? You felt it, but because he chose you, and it's funny because I always say, don't be the pick me. Like everybody wants to be chosen. I'm the
Exactly.
chosen person. I'm the one that he wants to be with. I'm the one that she wants to be with. You don't matter. When really though, I like to always, I know some people may not believe in God, but I lead with God guiding me, right? So now
Yeah.
I've moved into this. God has to choose that person for me.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
different when we're choosing somebody for ourselves and we see those red flags and God's putting it right in our face, like, hey, don't you see this? I showed you this, I showed you that, but we're stubborn and we want what we
Yes.
want, right? So,
Yeah.
what were some of those red flags that you noticed that I would say you swept it away because you wanted what you wanted?
Yeah. Well, right away when he first called me, the first phone call, because I gave him my number, so the first phone call that he made, um, I had like this MP3 phone. It was a long time ago. So it was this MP3 phone. I was listening to music on it. And usually when you pick up the phone call, when someone is calling, the music stops, right? And then you can talk to the person. So it didn't automatically stop for whatever reason on that day. So the music is still playing. So I couldn't hear what he's saying. I'm like, I can't hear you. The music is playing. And he's like, you're lying. There's no music playing. You just don't want to listen to me. And so that's what we call gaslighting.
Yep.
So he was gaslighting me, he was just like I don't know, making up his own reality that
Hmm.
I'm the one who's making it up. Like the phone
Yep.
did not, did not do the thing that it's supposed
With
to
the
do.
music. Hmm.
Yeah, so, I hung up and then, I waited for him to call. He didn't call, so I was like, "Oh, well." So I continued playing the music, and then it happened again. And now he got really upset with me, and he was like I don't know, I don't even remember what he was saying, but he was really upset with me. So I should have just seen from the beginning that such a small thing, like, really upset him, and he was also gaslighting me.
The smallest things that we try to overlook
Yeah,
sometimes are the biggest red flags that we're supposed to take as a sign.
yeah.
Now, when did the abuse start? Because you guys were together for how long?
Uh, I think was it 7 years? It was about 7 years, I think. Um, yeah, it was about 7 years. Um, I feel like it was always there from the start, the psychological, you
Mhm.
know. But then because I started standing up for myself. And once I started standing up for myself, because I was always like this person who goes with the flow. Once I started standing up for myself, it became um it became violent. And once he switched to being violent, and I was like, I can't be in this relationship anymore. But it was really when it affected my kids. That's when I was like, okay, I've had enough. I can't do this to my kids anymore. And then that's when I decided to leave.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
It's, I don't think people really acknowledge themselves and how much strength and power it takes to say, I'm leaving.
Mm,
Some people don't get to leave. Some people are
that's
still
true.
imprisoned, and some people lose their lives. So
Yes.
you doing that, choosing yourself first, and then your children, that is powerful. I don't
Yeah.
think people emphasize that enough and really extend that love that you deserve.
Yeah. Yeah. So it didn't really happen until that last year. And like once that behavior was exposed, like especially like right before I left, because I told him I'm leaving.
Mhm.
Like once you tell them you're leaving, like that's the most dangerous time. Like if possible, don't tell them you're leaving.
Yeah,
So once I told him I'm leaving, that I want a divorce, that was the worst time. I mean, it was like living with a bully. He would like knock, because I'm wearing contacts now. He'll like knock my glasses off my face, throw my phone off my hand, throw like if I'm holding a plate, he'll like knock the plate off my hand. It was like living with a bully.
yeah.
He'd like push me for no reason. Like it was constantly, he would just like do stuff just to get me bothered every single day.
How did you mentally stay strong not to just crumble? Because in those moments, you literally start to crumble on the inside. And it's almost like you're deteriorating.
You know, honestly, I don't even know what held me together. I think I thought I was going to die and I didn't want to die.
Yeah.
That was just it.
You
There was
wanted
like,
to live.
I was just so afraid for my life. I was like, I don't know what this person's going to do to me. I gotta go. So, I think that's what just held me on. I was like, I think he's just gonna keep getting worse because he is getting worse and worse every day.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think you're right about that part. When you're planning to leave, you kind of have to, and I know people might take this wrong, so don't take it wrong, guys, but you kind of have to play a game, like a mind game, like a manipulating game, to make them believe that everything's okay, I'm staying, but you're planning and you're
Yeah,
doing things outside of that to get yourself out into a safe zone, a safe environment.
yeah,
And it's really
yeah.
hard, right?
We call it the exit plan.
The
Like,
exit plan.
yeah, and we always like have a list of things that you should make sure that you have. Like, make sure that when he's not there, you don't have to do this when he's there. He's not there, that you can leave, that you can safely like get to somewhere that he's not going to be able to find you. At least at first, you do not want to be found.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, you just got to be really, really um like you just got to really plan. And it helps if you have somebody that you can contact. There's like domestic violence hotlines, and they can help you walk through like what you need, how to get where you can go to, and stuff like that. Because I remember I was just so done. I tried calling for like a shelter that I could go to, like a abuse shelter, and they were all full. There was no spaces.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh my God, I'm stuck here. I have no place to go. And I ended up just using whatever money I had, and I went to what you call a motel. Because even if it was really expensive and I couldn't afford it, I was like, I would rather this
Yeah.
than
And
the
staying.
situation I'm in.
Hmm. Now, you know, when you're by yourself, it's easier to pick up and run. Just keep running. But when there's kids involved, you're thinking about the kids. How are they going to feel? Their state of mind, their emotions. How are they going to feel? Trying to keep yourself together so that they don't feel that burden, right?
Mm,
Now, I want to ask for mothers, um, or fathers that are going through domestic violence. Would you say that there should be, and my opinion, I think there should be like a safe word. For example, if you know that you're trying to leave and something's happening, is there a safe word that you can give to the kids so they know that word means do this, that word means call
yeah,
this person?
yeah. That would definitely be a good thing to do. That would definitely be a good thing to have. I didn't have that for my kids, and actually, when I left without my kids. And then I tried to come back for them, and then the situation got really messy, and that's when the courts got involved. But that was in. that was God's way of helping me because once the courts got involved, they kind of like just took over everything and just like pushed him out of the picture. Um, uh, but it's always important to have your kids understand like
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this video. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.
situations like that because like especially when you're trying to I wouldn't say lie, but it is lie.
Yeah.
Lie about what you're doing. Like if you're packing up stuff, you don't want the kids to rat you out that you're
Hmm.
packing up your stuff,
Yeah.
that your stuff is like hidden somewhere and ready to go. And especially if you're packing up the kids' stuff too. So you want to bring them in into the plan, but only give them like appropriate information about what needs to be done. And yeah, the safe words are always helpful. Like some of the situations, it just takes a split second to
Yeah.
make a huge difference. And if you can have like a safety plan that involves like a safe word, that would really make a big difference.
Another thing that you did say, and I wanted to ask you this question, is when they find out that you're leaving, it could be very deadly, a very deadly moment in your life. Now, for the ones that, and a lot of people have this question because I've gone through it where you want to leave, and then when they find out, it's like a trigger in their mind that's okay. Let me show her that I'm changing, and they're good for a day, 2 days, 3 days, a week, a month, and
Yeah,
then you start retracting how you're feeling,
yeah,
and you're like, okay, maybe he's changing, he's doing better. What would you say to those people that are you're bouncing? It's a consistent bounce back because one
yeah.
minute he's good, next minute she's good, and then they just reverse back into who they really are.
That bouncing back and forth is very common. They say it takes an average 7 times to leave and come back because of that. And but it didn't happen for me for whatever reason. Like he was so convinced I couldn't live my life without him. He was like, "Oh, you want to go? You can't survive without me. Go ahead." He was so convinced I couldn't make it without him. And also, I think another thing I think that added to that was I'm an immigrant and my paperwork was not in order at that time. So he'd constantly like threaten to deport me and make sure that I never see my kids again.
Hmm.
So it was, oh, you want to leave? You're never going to make it. Like you don't have your papers. Like how you going to survive in this world? So that was a fear that really held me back. So that's what he used rather than being nice to me. But a lot of people, it does happen that way. When they leave, the person is like really, really nice to them, you know, doing the stuff that they've always wanted the person to do. And then it's, oh, he's changed.
Hmm.
And that's why I say on average, like if on average, it takes about 9 months for somebody to change. That's on average.
Yeah.
And with this kind of people and this kind of behaviors, it takes even longer.
Yeah.
So before you go back, wait, wait at least a year, wait. If you can see that consistency, then you can reconsider. But that thinking that he's nice and he's changed, those are just things in the moment that are not are not real. They're very good actors, very, very good actors.
Yes. He thought you couldn't make it without him. He thought you would never survive. He could take away your freedom from you. He could take your kids away from you. He could deport you back to Kenya. Now
Mm,
look at you now.
yes. And you know what
You,
the irony is?
yeah.
The whole time I was in the relationship from the beginning, I was always, so are you gonna help me do my paperwork? Are you gonna help me? Are you gonna help me? He was supposed to do this from the beginning. 7 years. I was still waiting for him to do it. Immediately when I left, I got that paperwork in order. It was all done. Everything was all together. Didn't need him for that. Did not need him for that. And I thought I was stuck and I needed him to help me do that.
Isn't it so funny how God will show up and show us that we don't need anybody but Him.
Yes.
It is absolutely phenomenal how God will show up and show who He is to us
Mhm.
and the power that He has over our life, and nobody else has it.
Yes.
Now, you are not just an architect,
Mhm.
but you are a coach, you're inspiration.
Mhm.
You are a fuel for other women, men that have experienced what you've experienced.
Mhm.
What gave you the strength to use your story to help other people pull through and know that they can get through it? What inspired you to want to become a coach? And
Mhm.
when I saw the decolonizing spaces, I was like, okay, I need to know more. I need to know
Yeah.
about the space coaching. I need to know all about it.
Yeah. I now that I think about it, I don't even know what made me decide to go into that switch that I want to help others. But with the decolonizing spaces, like I was like, I want to refocus. I want to do something new. I was just feeling like I'm in the space of new beginnings, change, and I wanted something different. So, and I wanted to help like people like me. Again, I don't know, maybe I'm just so into helping people like me. So it's like I want to help BIPOC people. And I was like, but why would I help BIPOC people? And I thought about this for a long time. And I was like, you know what the best thing would be? Decolonizing spaces. Um, because diversity, equity, inclusion, like that stuff is really, really important and it's really, really necessary. Um, because I do work with like organizations too and individuals. So that work is important too. But the decolonization work, like people just we're living in this new era of colonization and we don't even realize it. It
Mhm,
shows up as capitalism mostly. So like people who just prioritize profit and their businesses over people. And even in social media, it's just that these things are better and this is the things that you should be doing. Well, the stuff that is true to your culture and stuff like that, it's uncivilized. Um, it's not as good, There's other things that are the minority cultures is what's prioritized. So there, it was kind of like it felt like a calling. Like God told me, this is where I want you to serve. So I was like, okay, this is where I'm going. That one, like it truly felt like a moment of calling. Um, Not so much the deciding to do the abuse coaching. That one was kind of like um I was healing and also helping others was helping me heal.
mhm.
So I was still in that space of healing and looking for healing and helping others was helping me heal. So that was kind of the direction I took with that. But with the space transformation coaching and the decolonizing spaces, like that one was just God told me, this is where you're gonna serve.
It's perfect
Mm,
because when I was reading it, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't think people realize how important it is as BIPOC people, right? Because I feel like our feelings get dismissed
mm, yeah,
because we were raised on just being strong, getting
yes.
through it, even when we're
Work
feeling
harder,
right, work
stronger.
harder, stronger. And I've experienced it where, and you know what? Some of it is our fault too. So when I started work and in any work that I've ever done, I always give my 1,000%, not 100, a
Mhm,
thousand. I would go above and beyond.
mhm,
I would be up at 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, then getting to work for six, eight, and doing the same thing over and over again. Then when I went through a moment of feeling like I was overwhelmed, I was breaking, emotionally going through things because I just lost my grandma. My closest friend
yeah,
passed away. And now when I'm saying I need time for myself, it's Why do you need that for? Because automatically you think I'm
Exactly.
strong. I shouldn't be feeling any of this, right?
Yes, you should be grateful. You
I
should be
should be
glad
great.
for the place where you are. Like, you should not be complaining.
Oh, listen. So when I saw that you said in the workplace, I was like, listen, you are on to something. God has planted a seed in you and it's going to just keep reaping everywhere. Because the same thing you just said, you should be grateful. I had an employer say to me the first time in my life that I've ever asked for a raise, aren't you happy where you are? Aren't you happy how far you've come? Look at where I brought you. And I couldn't believe it. I was like,
Yes. Like,
what
it
did
was
you?
their effort and not
Yeah,
yours.
it was like literally the F word. I was like, oh my gosh. And then after I got off the phone, I was like, am I asking for too much, God? Should I not be grateful? And then I started repeating verses back to myself. And then God slapped me with one and said, what? Uh-uh. Don't you ever let anybody think that you're being ungrateful because you want more for yourself,
Mm,
because you're deserving of it.
hmm.
She confused me. And then I had to go to God with it because I was like, okay, now I'm being selfish. I should probably go back and apologize and say I don't want the raise anymore.
Mm.
So this whole decolonizing workspaces, it's so important.
Yeah.
Now, I want you to explain it. Like some people may not understand it. They might have to go to Google, go to the dictionary, try to figure it out what it means. What does that mean?
Okay, so this is what colonization looks like today. Colonization is still present, operating without a clear leader. At its core, colonization divides, controls, and exploits. Those three: divides, controls, and exploits. Colonialism enforces standards of conduct to control people under the guise of being better or more civilized. And decolonization, because people, when they think about decolonization, they think about like reformation stuff, but that's not the decolonization stuff I deal with.
Yeah.
Decolonizing seeks to unite, liberate, and nurture. Decolonization occurs when standards of conduct are relaxed or disregarded to empower and nurture people, being more accommodating or compassionate. And I think the key here with colonization is realizing that it divides, controls, exploits.
Mhm.
So if you think about the issues we have today, even like just with stuff like politics, people are, people are being divided over what side are you choosing. Like with gender stuff, people are being divided over this, that, and the other. If you think about stuff like what, like even age, like people who have more experience in work over people who don't have so much experience in work. Like there's so many people are divided. There's so many ways in which people are divided,
Mhm.
exploited, and controlled. And if we could just focus a little bit more on that rather than the, oh, this is a white person who's doing this to me, because now there's no clear leader, right?
Yeah,
It's not this white person that's hovering over you. It's this job that you're working in that is exploiting you. And if you could realize that and not pin this on the white person, then I think it would really help us move out of these situations, because your boss could be a black person, but you're still being exploited.
I
So the
agree.
problem here is that this is a decolonization, a colonized mindset that your boss is working in. And that's why I say decolonization work is for everybody. So if we can just deconstruct this mindset and get rid of all this stuff, then I think it would be really, really helpful and we'll start to see things better. But this whole dividing and controlling and just splitting people up, like even if you think about stuff like religion, as good as religion is, the way it seeks to control is just on another level.
Yeah.
They control what you think, what you do, where you go, who you're
Who you
talking
speak
to.
to. Mhm.
And if you would focus a little bit more on just that uniting, nurturing, empowering those more kinds of like positive things, I think it would lead us all into a better place.
I love that. I love the way that you broke it down and you explained it.
Mm,
And you use that in a sense of healing and being in environments where you can heal
mm,
by decolonizing. Explain that. Explain how, being in proper environments can shape your identity. Because I think we hear it so much, like the way where you're raised, that's the reason why you are the way that you are.
yeah, the apple doesn't fall far from a tree. Yeah.
Right. So how would you say our environment shapes our identities and the mindset, the still mindset of, okay, well, it's this white person that's doing it to me. It's this um, Asian person that's doing this to me. And it goes on and on and on and on.
Mm. Yeah, so our environments shape things in a lot of ways. So I like to kind of think of it in three ways: people, places, things, just because it makes it easier. So often you'll hear, especially in coaching, when we talk about the people you surround yourself with, like being very careful about the people you surround yourself with, because they shape your thinking. And so that one's a definite. And the people around you can either pull you up or they can pull you down. And, honestly, most of us don't even realize when we're being pulled down by the people around us, if we're being
Mhm.
honest.
Yep.
Um, we don't realize when situations are not the best for us. And and sometimes, you're grateful for the people that have brought you to where you are, like especially if you have like parents that you're dealing with or people that really helped you in tough situations. Um, but we're like, I like this saying. I don't know if it's a saying, but like, rowing a boat, you know, you row a boat and you row it and you row it in the water. But once you get to shore, you leave the boat where it is. And then now you walk.
Yep.
If you keep rowing that boat, when you get to shore, you're not going to get anywhere. You're just going to be frustrated sitting in that boat. So,
Mhm.
yes, sometimes people and things bring us to where we are, but there's times when you need to leave those things behind and just keep moving forward. And so, a lot of people get stuck on stuff like that, not realizing that it's time for them to move forward. So, people, definitely the people that you have around you can really help to elevate you. And then places. Um, places is just a major, major one. I mean, it's got a lot to do with like environmental psychology. Um, if you think about like even just the simple things like the noise, the safety of the area, and stuff like that can definitely make you feel agitated or nervous and affect your mental health. And then if you think about neighborhoods that are not as well off,
Mhm.
um, where people tend to congregate, like these neighborhoods that have like predominantly Black people, and if you look at how they are and how their environments are, even just looking at things like the food that is presented there. Is the food healthier? Most likely it's not. It's lots of fast food places. The grocery stores that they have are not like offering like those clean organic foods that are good for you. And even like the healthcare systems are not the best. So that whole environment of where you are, the place where you are, it makes a difference. And so people like to move out of neighborhoods like that. And even when they come into neighborhoods saying that they're cleaning them up, they make it difficult for the people who are there to keep living there because now they raise the costs of things and stuff like that and kind of like force you out of your environment. And if I think about how colonization worked before, it was just people invading. So they would invade the spaces and then take them over and say that this is our colonized area, right? Now it's businesses coming, raising up your rent. I don't know about you, but I lived in an apartment. Every year the lease goes up, the lease goes up, the lease goes up. You know,
Mhm.
you're forced out of your home. So we don't see that people are being forced out of their homes, but this kinds of stuff forces people out of their homes, forces people to move. People are being forced to move because they can't afford this, because they want better jobs. So it's this forced migration that keeps happening, and people don't see it as this effect of colonization. Like they're invading, they're trying to like make things the way that they want them to be. So that's places, and then just the things that we surround ourselves with. You just want to have like more stuff that brings you like peace and calm, and a lot of the things that are being produced these days, they're like toxic. They have a lot of like this toxic stuff inside them. So the more that you can make like use like sustainable stuff, stuff that's more natural, stuff um that's, better for you. Because I even remember when I was in this relationship, and then I wanted to use cloth diapers because I was like, there's so many diapers like being thrown into landfill constantly.
Yeah.
Like I want to use cloth diapers. And what was it? It was uncivilized. It wasn't something that I should be doing. Like it stinks, and all these excuses of why I should not use cloth diapers. But I was really more focused on the sustainability of it. Like it's better for our environment. It's better on the long term in terms of sustainability. Um, but it was uncivilized.
Yeah.
It was my African stuff. Meanwhile, the website I bought it from was this high-end website with this like really expensive diapers that people were saying that they couldn't afford, and it was
Yep.
like being presented as this, but because I'm African, it was this thing that was uncivilized that I
He
should not
used
be
it. He
using.
used it against you. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, just this things that we surround ourselves with, the things that we use, the products, the things that we're putting into our body, like even just the food that we eat. Uh, there's a lot of stuff that we can clean up, that we can make our lives better, um, through doing. And most of us just accept. We just accept the things that we're given. We just accept the way the world is. We just accept that,
Except the things that are easy access to us.
yeah, we don't
Instead of
really,
going to the healthy food store that's maybe a 20-minute drive, we go to the one that's closer to the house because it's easier, it's more accessible, it's stress free instead of thinking about what we're putting on the inside. Because that's what's really
yeah.
that's killing you. If you're not really thinking about what you're putting inside of you.
Yeah. And even just think about the food. Like people don't want to spend that much money on food, right? And then they get sick. And now you're spending all this money on this health things, and now you're stuck with things that you have to deal with for the rest of your life in terms of your heart, in terms of your body. And so now some people say your health is your wealth.
Yeah.
So now, yeah, you saved money on the food, but what about your health? Now your health is terrible because of all those things that you were eating. So were you really saving money?
Right. Now I have a question to ask you. We talk about decolonizing spaces and stuff like that, right? What
Mhm.
about Hey, I hope you're enjoying this video. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.
Phenomenous. Cold ink.